Greetings all, Tom Fagione here for the Port Jervis Network. Memorial Day 2024. We pause, reflect, and honor those who gave the ultimate sacrifice that our country could remain free. It is a weekend where so many people get together, have barbecues, enjoy the outdoors, maybe float down the river, get together with friends and family. And it's a great weekend, no doubt about it. However, oftentimes it seems as if the true meaning of Memorial Day sometimes goes by the wayside. So today, this Memorial Day, we have reached out to some area veterans to get their take on Memorial Day and what it means to them. So as we enjoy this weekend, let us all reflect and remember the words as you hear coming up from area veterans Fabrizzio Morejon and Janine Shearer. Sit back and enjoy and relax and remember what Memorial Day is truly all about. Joining us now is my good friend Janine Shearer. Janine, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Tom, and you?
Great. It is Memorial Day weekend. We've been so blessed this weekend with unbelievably spectacular weather. And the reason why you and I are talking today, because how so many people sometimes forget what Memorial Day really is all about. Janine, you and I have known each other for a long, long time, and, I know your story a little bit, but maybe you can tell some people listening today a little bit about you and your service to our great nation.
Well, Tom, after I graduated from Port Jervis High School, I did do 1 year at Orange County Community College. I found myself having too much of a good time, and I did have a boyfriend at the time that was an ROTC, and he was Airborne qualified. And he told me that I would never make it through Army Airborne School. So kind of to prove him wrong, I did my 1 year OC, and then I joined the Army. And I got that Airborne contract on there, and I went Airborne, and that's where I met my future husband, Tim Shearer, down at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So that's how I got in the Army, kind of on a dare. You tell me I can't do something, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Now, you joining the Army is one thing, but then going Airborne, at that time in the Army, were women a full component of Airborne School, or were you like obviously you were a minority in terms of numbers, but how many other females were with you during your training?
Very few. Many times I was on the plane at Fort Bragg. I was the solo, or maybe there's two max at Fort Bragg. I did go through with a lot of ROTC cadets down at Fort Benning, Georgia, so I did have quite a few female cadets with me at Fort Benning going through airborne training. But back in the 80s, there were very few airborne women. And
you were one of them. And how many jumps did you make?
Approximately 26.
Wow. 26
Most
jumps.
Most of them were fun jumps in just 3 years.
Now you say...
But it was like Saturday morning fun jumps.
You say fun jumps. I don't know. The idea of jumping out of an airplane, fun and jumping out of an airplane, I don't know if they are in the same sentence for me. But
well, on Saturday mornings down at Pope Air Force Base, you could jump without your rucksack on your lap and without your M16 strapped to your leg. So when you didn't have that extra 75 pounds of equipment to lug around and an M16 strapped to you, it was more pleasurable, I would say, to jump on a Saturday morning fun jump.
So, being in the Airborne, that comes with a lot of training, but also great accolades. And here in our community, we've been blessed to, you and I have known, of course, so many veterans in the area. But, of course, some of our closest friends and veterans who sadly have passed were World War II airborne guys. And maybe you can mention a couple of them by name.
Well, everybody knows our famous Walter Hughes. Walt passed away a few years back, and I hang on to Walt and look at his card every day here on my wall.
And Walt was a great guy, World War II veteran, and just a great guy here in our community. From that generation through Korea, Vietnam, and then in our era, and then the generations after us. Being in the military is something here that our community has a strong grip to. And you mentioned you met your husband while you were in the service, but the service connection has continued through your own son as well, correct?
Yes. My son went EOD, that's explosive ordnance disposal. He was a bomb squad guy, and he did his time, and then got out right after COVID. And my dad was in the Navy. He was a Navy guy, and my grandfather was in the I think it was called the Army Air Force at the time, the Air Corps.
As was my grandfather. So patriotism runs deep in your family for sure. And the crux of this interview today and this beautiful weekend we're having is it's Memorial Day weekend. So many people are outside barbecuing and maybe going down the river and having cold adult beverages and enjoying their family and their friends coming over for the barbecue or a campfire. But Janine, I wanted to ask you, and I've asked other area veterans, when you and your family think of Memorial Day, what is it about Memorial Day that sticks out for you?
Well, you've always got to remember, may we never forget those that have died for us. It's about the love that goes on even after death, and the love that we have as our best hope for peace.
Oh, Janine, let me tell you something. You and I talked off air about how long this interview would be. We're done. You just said it right there. You said it succinctly and without fanfare, and you said it right from the heart, and it is so true. And as people are listening to this and enjoying watching our veterans and so many other organizations march in the parade, remember what Janine said and all the other veterans in our community and what they feel and express about Memorial Day. And maybe each one of us who isn't service-connected can take that moment and reflect in the way that Janine and your family and so many others do. Janine, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank you, your hubs, your son, your dad, granddad, all the other people in your family who wore the uniform to keep and protect our nation. We are very grateful. It is a debt that we could never fully repay.
Thank you, Tom. We live in a great little community here, and I know all of Port Jervis and Deer Park will be out there to honor our fallen.
Amen to that. Joining us now is my good friend, Fabrizzio Morejon, better known as Fab. Fab, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing fine there, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing well. It is Memorial Day weekend, and for so many Americans, Memorial Day has meanings all over the spectrum. Some people, it's hot dogs, hamburgers, adult beverages, and having barbecues in the backyards. But for others, the meaning of Memorial Day is richer and more true than almost any other day of the year. We're doing a little story about our area veterans and about Memorial Day and what it means for our area veterans. And Fab, let everybody know a little bit about your history in terms of your service here to our country.
Well, I am an immigrant from Ecuador. My family came here in the mid-'60s, and once I became of age, I was in college, and I decided, I want to give back to my country, and I made that decision to enlist in the United States Marine Corps, and I never regretted that. That was my way of saying thank you to a country that's been great to me, my family, and has given me the experience that I could never have had anywhere else. And I've come to accept that this is the greatest country of opportunity for anyone, no matter your background, your socioeconomic status. You make of it what is presented to you if you work hard and you have goals. And this is the country to do it in. So my time in service in the Marine Corps, I was a comms guy. I was in communication, supporting infantry, supporting the air wing, artillery. And I did get deployed during Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm in late 1990 into 1991. And it definitely makes you appreciate the little things, Tom. I think we all as Americans at some point in time take things for granted. Like you mentioned, being able to spend time with our family, be part of our community, hot dogs, pools, parties and everything. But when you're in the midst of a theater of operations, you don't have all of that, and you really miss all that, and then you realize why this country is the greatest nation on the planet, because of what you defend, what you support, and what you believe in. Is also what those men and women around you are also supporting and believing in as well.
Well, Fab, your story is one of so many great American families, coming to our country, choosing to make America your home and raising your family, joining the Marine Corps. Now, let me ask you this. before we ask you the big question about what Memorial Day means to you as a former Marine, but like, what did you?
There's no former Marines, Tom. Every Marine will tell you, once a Marine, always a Marine.
I'm glad you corrected me. I kind of set myself up for that, but
yes, you did. You walked right into that one.
Absolutely, and you were there to guide me in the right direction. But let me ask you this: when you joined the Marine Corps and you're getting ready to get off the bus at Parris Island, what were you thinking, and how right were you thinking about what happened to you in the next several weeks?
I think what most young men and women who step off that bus with the drill instructor barking at them, what did I just do? You know, every generation will tell you. There's a lot of adrenaline. There's a lot of anxiety, the unknown. But that's like anything in life. But you don't panic. You try to stay as focused as you can, and you realize you're tired, you've traveled, you're sleep deprived, and it stays like that for the next few days, because the purpose of any basic training is to break you down and get you away from your civilian trappings and routine, and now make you into that military mindset, part of that culture. And the Marine Corps is one of the most demanding. It's 13 weeks as opposed to 8 to 10 weeks for some of the other branches of the service. But yeah, I don't regret doing what I did. So that really was a wake up, but I'm glad I went through it and was able to graduate, earn that title of Marine.
Now, Fab, you said it. Once a Marine, always a Marine. So many people here in the Port Jervis area know you and know your connection to the Marine Corps. Talk a little bit about what you do in the community in terms of still being a Marine.
Sure. Well, presently I am the captain commander of VFW 7241 here in Port Jervis, the tri-state naval ship, and with my other shipmates, we try to support as many community initiatives for veterans, their families, as well as the young people here, because they are the next generation that will be taking over as we age and pass away. But we at the naval ship, like other VFW posts, including Rusa Fleming Post VFW 161, try to do what we can to make lives a little better for our members, for our nation, for our communities. We share a lot in common. Number one is that we love this country, like we started the conversation earlier. We're grateful for everything it's given to us.
And I will tell you this, Port Jervis is proud of its patriotism because we have so many great patriots living here in our community. Fab, I'm just going to close with the question, the one that means the most, and that is this Memorial Day, when you're marching in the parade or you're standing in the park or you're with your family, what is it about Memorial Day that means so much to you?
The word sacrifice comes to mind, and specifically Memorial Day, the sacrifices that many men and women have given since the beginning of this nation to defend our freedom, liberty, our way of life, our values, and many of them did not get a chance to live out a life in full as many of our older veterans have. And what strikes me is there was a movie that came out a few years ago about World War I that was called They Shall Never Grow Old. And that was such a fitting title for many of these young men and women later on. They will never grow old. They gave their lives, many of them at a very young age. But I believe that they did it because they believed they were serving their country. And like the old adage goes now, that each veteran writes that blank check that is payable up, including their own lives in sacrifice to their country, to their fellow servicemen, and to their nation and the communities.
Well, Fab, I just want to thank you for those words, and we're going to continue to talk to area veterans this Memorial Day, and no better person than a veteran could be asked a question of what Memorial Day means, and that word sacrifice that you said, and the way you said it, and the sentiment, that just rings true to so many people here in our community and in our country. Fab, I want to say thank you, man. God bless you and your family, and we really appreciate you joining us here today to talk about what Memorial Day means to you.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Tom, and thank you for all that you do for our community. And have a great weekend and a very blessed and good remembrance on Memorial Day.
And how about that, guys? Janine Shearer and Fabrizzio Morejon, two great Americans living right here in our community with their take on what Memorial Day means to them. Hey, I hope you guys are feeling the same as I'm feeling right now, and that is full of some great pride and admiration for our American heroes who have worn the uniform, and so many of them who have laid down their lives that we may live in a free and great country. Guys, reflect upon that today as we remember on Memorial Day. This is Tom Fagione for the Port Jervis Network, wishing all of you a very great and nice and memorable and honorable Memorial Day. Thank you.